The stock market share price and its movement is a reflection of human behavior. I was rereading one of my trading books and I came across a quote that said, the share price reflects human behavior. If that's the case, then I just want to point out here with KULR stock, I skipped the intro. No intro needed. Yes, they did do an stock issuance, whatever. I want to say this before we go into tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a very big day. Apparently, a lot of executive orders are going to be introduced. A lot of people assuming that Trump in office equals we go kaboom. As you can see here, in anticipation of Trump, the stock price it's falling. We'll see where buyers step in. We'll see if this is just a little bit of a pullback before we continue. But for the time being, it's going to be very interesting to keep an eye on Bitcoin and how it behaves Monday. Could foretell what's going to come to the stock market. Is it time to bleed more? Because that's what it's looking like right now for Bitcoin. That aside, let's talk about KULR stock here. KULR stock, some people have reached out to me and told me, hey, what do you think? Do you think it's going to come down? Some people have said, hey, I think this is getting ready to come back to the upside. I think it's getting ready to pump. We're going sideways. RSI has cooled a little bit and a lot of it. MACD crossover. We're getting near the weighted moving average. But I say until we get that crossover, nothing's confirmed. And the best part is, if price is a reflection of human behavior, then don't we have to just look at the past to see what let me remove this, to see what the share price did every time we pumped? Wouldn't that be a reflection of what people like to do with this stock every time it pumps? What is the behavior? Because human behavior is pretty consistent, right? So consistent we would expect a pattern to play out over and over again, right? What do you do every day when you wake up? Most of you probably brush your teeth, maybe take a shower, start your coffee, whatever. You probably go through the same cycle every day. Probably not much changes as you get older, especially. We're very predictable, is what I'm trying to say. If aliens came and looked down at us, they'd be like, no signs of intelligent life. They'd look at us like we see ants, like, oh look, those ants, they form colonies and they have like a whole society and they work together and they do things to make it work within that society. But they would still see us as ants, essentially, right? Because we're just very predictable. Just like the ants, they're very predictable, right? If you put food somewhere, they might come out and swarm that piece of sugar, whatever the case may be. And I know I shouldn't be calling us ants. I'm a human too, right? But just like just like ants on sugar, when the hype gets going, what happens? People get really excited and they start chasing. And all that chasing leads to a surge in the share price. And it continues until we finally get to the point of exhaustion where the hype finally dies down and we start falling. And as it falls, people say, oh, no, no, it's going to come back up, but it just continues to go lower and lower until finally it inevitably retraces the majority of its move. Right? To the upside, people get all hype and chase. To the downside, everyone gets, gloom and doom, and the selling pressure continues. Even here, what happens here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had a lot of sell off here. Then a period of not consolation. A period. This is going to be very important. This is why I'm saying I think KULR is going to continue to come down. I hope I'm wrong, but again, if price is a reflection of human behavior, then look look what happened in the past. It doesn't it look similar? Let's move forward. Huh? Huge pump, a lot of bleeding, consolidation phase. That looks like a bear flag almost. So we pumped, we dumped here, consolidation phase, and then we went lower. and eventually retraced the majority of this pump from a low of 10 to 90 cents and back down. So if price is a reflection of human behavior, then wouldn't we expect the same kind of behavior from people again, right? It's almost like it's happening all over again, right? Isn't it kind of a little like too on the nose, right? I'm not the only one that's crazy. Because I was rereading my trading books just to see if like, because now I'm a much better trader compared to when I read them back for the first time. The first time you read a trading book, you're going to be lost. You're not going to understand a lot of what's going on. So I reread them all day Sunday. Literally, just spent all day rereading them, skimming. I would skip some parts that I'm like, oh, okay, I already know about technical analysis. I don't need to know the data about MACD and the EMAs. So I skipped around, but if price is a reflection of human behavior, then wouldn't we expect a rinse and repeat of last time? We're just going to consolidate and then go lower and eventually retrace pretty much the majority of the move is what one would expect at that point. It looks eerily similar, right? We just start going sideways and eventually we would expect to go down under 180. Let's hope that's not the case. But if human behavior is reflected in the share price, then that's what we would expect. Now let's look at another run. So this was the previous run, which as you can see, this one loves to have big runs. So if you want to take advantage, just wait for the price to come down to the 200 weighted moving average and then start accumulating. That way you're not buying all the way up here, right? If you're buying all the way up here, you're buying very far away from that weighted moving average. Whereas if you waited, you would have been buying at 33 cents, right? Because that's when it touched it. 33 cents. You could have accumulated there, averaged down to 20 cents, and then boom, it exploded to 5.49. It's almost like this pattern rinse and repeats in the long term. The question is, do you have the patience and discipline? That's the real question. Now let's continue here. We go back in time, and again, if it's just a reflection of if price is a reflection of human behavior, then okay, we pumped, we came down, we went sideways, came down, then we had a secondary pump here, was not able to get back above 110, formed a double top. Not the most perfect double top, but a double top. A double top means we're going to come down. That's usually what it means because we're not able to push it further. And you can see it gapped down and then bled out. Then a bit of a bounce and then continued to bleed. Then eventually it started going sideways here and then it just continued to go down lower. Isn't that interesting? We're seeing how people like to behave when it comes to this stock specifically because not every stock is going to behave the same way, right? Now we look at the past and we go to the previous pump because this one, like I said, this one loves to pump. If you just wait for that 200 weighted moving average, you could just start averaging down from there. That way you're not buying, at 220. Instead, you're buying at 158 and averaging down from there. You never want to average from the top. Just my advice. You can do what you want, obviously. Why do you think I'm waiting for the crossover or give me that touch of that weighted moving average? Now let's continue here because this is going to get even more fun. Watch this. We get another pump here from $1 to 220. We come down. We consolidate here. Look at that. Red candle, green candle, red candle, red candle, green candle. Oh my God, we're going to go to the moon. Hey, oh my God, it looks like we're really going to come back and touch 220 and go beyond that. And then we fall, we consolidate again and go lower. And retrace again most of the move. So I'm showing you this because this is, again, if price is a reflection of human behavior, then why wouldn't we expect the same thing again? People are going to say, well, this time it's different. But you better believe that every single time we've had one, look at this on this run, you better believe people were saying this time it's different. And then on this run, people said the same thing. Oh, this time it's different. Look, it's different because look at that big green candle. We're going to break out and go to the moon. Woo! This time it's different. Woo! Oh, this time is different. That's 3 different times someone has probably said the same thing. This time it's different, but every single time it was not different. So I'm just showing you, I'm just giving you the rundown here. If this is a reflection of human behavior, then we would expect the exact same thing to happen again, right? Until the pattern changes. But I will not assume that the pattern is going to change. It's actually better to assume that human behavior is consistent and we're just going to come on down. That would be the safest assumption to make because I'm literally showing you we've had already 4 pumps in the past before this big one to $5, and every single time it not only comes back to where it originally pumped from, but the behavior of the share price, it's very interesting, right? We pump, we come down, we have a secondary pump, form a double top almost, pretty much if you want to count it, and then we continue lower anyways, and retrace pretty much all the move here. And we consolidate and go sideways and slowly bleed out as buyers step in to try to keep it from falling, but it comes down anyways. Isn't that interesting? Like this one loves to form double tops as well. After every pump, we get a secondary run up, and then it comes back down. So maybe we can anticipate a secondary pump. Maybe. Again, it's going to depend on Trump and what he does, and all these executive orders. I think a lot of it's going to rely on that. But if Bitcoin's a reflection of what's going to happen to the market, we're probably going to dump across the markets as a whole. Let's hope that's not. Again, let's hope that's not the case. Here it pumps, comes right back down, consolidates, and then it pumps again, comes back down. So you can see this stock. I'm just showing you the data, guys. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just showing you what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing if price is a reflection of human behavior, then we would anticipate, if we're lucky, we'll anticipate a secondary pop. So it loves to pop here, and then it pops again, then it forms a double top and comes down. Eventually consolidates and bleeds even lower. So the question is, we get this huge run, are we going to get a secondary move back up and then eventually come back down? Or is this going to be a change in the pattern? Or are we just going to bleed out and eventually come back under $1? I would hope that it holds at $1 because that's where this weighted moving average would be at as well. There would be a lot of confluence among a lot of indicators if it comes down to $1 at that point. So I would be shocked if it did. Someone did ask me, do you think I should have a limit buy order at 181? I mean, I wouldn't blame you if you want to try and time it. Maybe we get a double bottom, but I'm just going to sit back and wait and see how the market reacts because we don't know. The whole market could gap down. We've seen that when Ukraine was attacked by Russia. Literally, if you guys were there when Ukraine was attacked by Russia, the whole market just gapped down. And then the dip was bought up real quick because it was an overreaction. But in this case, like I said, just be careful. It's not looking good. I just showed you a lot of evidence as to why it points to us coming down even cheaper. I think we're going to bottom out. If this continues bleeding, we'll bottom out at $1 because that's where we previously consolidated before making the next big cycle up. That's what I would predict if we continue to bleed. If it continues to follow the patterns of the past, we're just gonna bleed. But the beautiful thing here, so let's talk about the good thing. The good thing is we know that this one loves to have big runs. It's done so already 5 times. Every time it has a big run, and the best opportunity is going to be waiting for it to bottom out, wait for it to get close to that 200 moving average, start accumulating it, and then a few months later, it'll get another big pump and you can make a lot of money. So that's like the positive side if you want to see it that way, right? Because if we go back, that's one run, here's another run, then it dumps, consolidates, goes sideways for a while. It's kind of just going sideways next to the 200 weighted moving average, below it, and then it pumps again. And then that just rinse and repeats, right? So I would wait to see if it comes down to that 200 weighted moving average plus the confluence of the MACD crossover. That would be your best bet. And that's what I'm waiting for. A little bit, that rereading that book really made me. The book is called Trading Systems and Methods. And I have the free version, the PDF version in my Discord, the Google Drive that I have. So everyone can read it there. But it's a good book. It really opens your eyes a lot. The first time you read it, the second time around, you walk away like, huh. That book taught me to be who I am, really, a systems trader. My system calls for me to buy when the crossover happens. Or alternatively, when it gets close to that 200 or touches that 200 weighted moving average, because I have multiple systems. Anyways, we'll see what happens. But I'm just looking at previous price behavior, which again tends to reflect human behavior. Because I know you're just looking at candles here, but behind all those candles, there's people buying and selling. There's real people. Like in my Discord, there's real people who are holding a big bag. There's real people who were up 100K up here because I guess they put $5,000 at 23 cents and then it went 20x, which I think would equal, 100K. So, but they didn't take the 100K because they were so greedy. And I don't blame them. But there's a lot of people. If you told them, hey, if you put 5K into a stock and it was 100K a month later, would you take the 100K? There's probably a lot of people who would. But then again, it's easier said than done. I mean, I told her, I'm like, a lot of people would be shaking their hands, their fingers would be shaking just at the thought of clicking sell and taking that 100K off the table. But she didn't, and now she's holding it all the way down. And let's just hope for her sake, and many other people who are holding it, that it doesn't just bleed back down to its original pump price at 20 to 30 cents, which again, on the positive side, it would be an opportunity to take advantage of the next pump. Because if we go to the weekly, you'll see this one loves to have lots of pumps. So, do you have the patience for it to come down nice and cheap? That's a whole nother thing. This is just my thought process. I could be way off. Sure. I mean, look, the market at the end of the day doesn't care what I think. It's going to do what it does, right? It doesn't care what I think. I think I said that for the rigatoni or RGTI video. The stock market doesn't care what I think. It doesn't care what you think. It's going to do what it does. And the best we can do is have a system in place to take advantage of any potential upside while having a stop loss to protect ourselves and a take profit strategy so that we can, take gains at appropriate levels and not be too greedy at that point. Anyways, that's it for the video. Hopefully, this was very insightful. This is just what I see, and I could be wrong. But again, if that book that I read, when I saw that quote, "Price is a reflection of human behavior," we would expect them people to behave the same way, right? I have a guy in my Discord who wants to make a lot of money fast, essentially, but he keeps chasing tops. He keeps FOMOing. And I told him, like, if you follow me into my plays, you're gonna make a lot of money. But if you're gonna go off and do your own thing and just chase, good luck. And He's slowly destroying his account. Like when he started following, let me see if I can find it real quick. I think I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. But he sent me a message like, "Hey, ever since I started following your channel, I actually started making I 3x my account." But here's the problem: is yes, he's 3x his account since following my YouTube channel, but now he's not listening. He's just destroying himself very, very slowly, bleeding out his account. Because now he's sitting at like 1.8K or 2K from 3K, 3.2K or something like that. Let me see. I'm turning it around. Let me see if I can. I don't think I'll be able to find it without taking too much time. But yeah, he's afraid of capital gains tax, so he lets taxes hold him back. And yeah, so he's like, oh no, taxes, so I'm not gonna swing trade because taxes. And I'm just like, huh? Okay, whatever. So I've told him what to do. I gave him the game plan. I gave him a personal, tailored alert for him, and he's not listening. So he's just gonna continue to erode his account. Yeah, I learned my lesson from you. You taught me well. Stock loss, take profits, and take the vegetarian cheeseburger. That's pretty much 1 hour's pay. So it was a good one click of the button. But KULR hoping 350, that will make me $400. So he's kind of a reflection of a lot of people like you probably. And maybe not you exactly. Some of you are smarter, and I can recognize that because you've talked about your technical analysis in the comments, and I can tell like, oh yeah, this guy knows what he's doing. But some of them don't know what they're doing. They're hoping that it comes back up. They're hoping that it pumps so they can make like $400 because he has a small account. And yeah, no, I think like he's everyone's keeping an eye on this guy's journey because he just puts it out there. But unfortunately, by putting it out there, he shows his mistakes too. Since watching your YouTube channel the last 3 months, you raised my negative growth I had in this portfolio. It was like minus 500, minus 800. You got rid of it all. I'm in the positive now after watching you, and it's only going to grow. The old me would have bought, flipped, but I'm waiting patience. Yes, keep it up. But unfortunately, he is not keeping it up, and I had to put him in a timeout because he was just spamming the discussion room, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, this guy's so annoying." So we're having fun in there. It's developing into a fun community, and but if you're gonna put yourself out there, expect to be called out. Like, "Hey, bro, what are you doing? Why are you chasing? Don't chase. That's not how you make money. You make money by waiting for the bottom. You make money by waiting for that 200 weighted moving average. You wait for things to get cheap. I don't understand why people aren't more cheapskates with the money that they're gambling. That doesn't make sense to me. But You do you. And then this isn't just I'm not you as in like the more degenerate people. The ones that are actually willing to learn, they're gonna walk away from the Discord, uh, being on my level. Like they're gonna start seeing things that they never thought were possible. Like one guy, his mind was blown because I told him, hey, you made 300K, you turned 30K into 300K on SoundHound. I want you to take 250K of that, put into Stag, collected monthly dividends from that, and use that $700 or $1,000 in dividends to play the markets for free or just buy stock with it. And then the other 50K that you have left over, you can trade with it and follow my alerts, and you'll continue to make. Because once you have a big account over 100K, it's just you're playing a whole other game. We'll see if he listens. I haven't reached out to him. He's, I think, from Australia or Belgium. I forget. We got a huge community of different people from all over the world. I think an African person joined recently, which is shout out to that guy. I was like, whoa. I did not know people from all over the world watched me. I just always assumed US and Canada. That's how small of a bubble I live in. Anyways, I'm excited. You should be excited too, especially if you haven't bought in yet. If you're waiting, you're gonna get the opportunity to buy real cheap, and then you're gonna be the one that dumps it on people's head, near the top, and you're gonna walk away from my channel being like, wow, this guy, he taught me how to be patient, disciplined, and walk away with a lot of money. You get paid to be patient and disciplined. That's what the market rewards. And I'll see you guys in the next one.